It's actually sad. Everyone's too busy on their fucking phones to talk about how ships used to sink. Look up from your screen and talk about how the Britannic hit a mine. Okay?
I don't care about shipwrecks anymore. You care about is TikTok and Netflix.
It's disgusting.
It's actually fucking fucked up. Anyway.
This is a White Star Line prepaid call from
Iceberg, right ahead!
It's been over 100 years since the Titanic sunk into the North Atlantic Ocean.
It's a pretty open and shut case. The ship hit an iceberg, case closed.
But what aren't they telling us? What if two comedians tried to solve what really happened?
This is Truthtanic.
Ahoy!
Ahoy there, mateys!
I'm Carley.
And I'm Blair.
And welcome to
Truthtanic.
This is a podcast where we're gonna uncover the truth of what really happened that night at the Titanic.
The Titanic. Really, the truth and the essence and the vibe of the Titanic told by us, two comedians who think that we know everything, and we probably do.
Because here's the thing, what aren't they really telling us about what happened
the
night of the Titanic?
Maybe it happened 111 years ago. Maybe, but also maybe there's something they missed.
Maybe it never sank.
Maybe it never sank. Maybe it sank, but it was actually in a better way than we think.
Maybe it actually was helpful and actually good.
Maybe it was helpful and good.
Because and yes, maybe this podcast will end up with us being pro sinking and the loss of many lives.
If we could become historians through this, that would be great.
The way that I kind of imagine this ending is with us either receiving the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
Or we're kind of like a guest lecturer at Harvard for Titanic studies.
Or we're like shamed throughout historian communities, but we still get a guest lecture. It's just somewhere less, it's like at a community college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every single week, we are going to walk you through a different aspect of the Titanic. It's a limited run.
We're doing 8 episodes.
And maybe that will be more, but maybe that'll be less. There's no way to know, but strap in for 8 so you don't get sad when it's over.
Yeah, don't get sad at all if you're going to be here.
And smile because it happened.
Yeah, smile because it happened. Don't cry because it happened.
Don't cry because it happened, smile because it happened.
Smile.
It's a famous saying.
Smile and cry about the Titanic, or don't talk to me. So we have tons of topics that we're going to cover. We have the ship, the passengers,
conspiracy theory,
the night of the sinking.
If you want to request an episode or something, a topic for us to talk about, feel free to email us at truthtanic@gmail.com. And at the end of every episode, we are going to make this tragedy about us.
Because ultimately, this is about us, not about
the lives lost.
Not about the lives lost, not about history. It's about 2 fun young women living in the city, having a good time.
It's about life, love in the city, actually.
This is Sex in the City historical ship edition.
Yes, it's a Trojan horse in the sense that we get you here under the guise of the Titanic, but we keep you here with stories of life.
Yeah, in self-interest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It might just be me and Blair chatting a couple weeks. Sometimes we'll bring in we'll bring in a guest to have them kind of give their spin on what really happened that night at the Titanic, have them react to the information.
Are they historians? No.
But they have energy and they have pizzazz and they have chutzpah.
And opinions.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah. And access to the internet, which is all you need.
No, these days, if you have an opinion and access to the internet, babe, you're an expert.
You're good. So today, our topic, the ship, the Titanic. We're also going to touch on
the titular Titanic.
The titular RMS Titanic. She is a beautiful ship that sank. She's dead. She's dead.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace,
girl. Rest in peace, girl.
She gone.
She's built. We're going to touch on her. She was built with her 2 sisters, the Olympic and the Britannic, in Belfast, Ireland.
Hortatoy.
I'm
Irish, I can say that.
Yeah, same.
My culture is not your costume.
Yeah, actually. We're allowed to be weird about the Irish. No one else is.
Nope, no one else is.
Except the Irish.
So we're gonna
get into the ship. We're like, just to touch base, Titanic built, Harland and Wolff shipyards, Bruce Ismay.
And it's important to note that this is not going to be a detail-oriented podcast.
No. But we're just going to shove details in your face.
Yeah, we have an opinion. We have access to the internet. We have a Google Doc where we compiled some of our favorite facts. Every single week, one of us is going to lead the other girly and maybe a guest through an area of the Titanic. And today, Blair's going to lead me through the information about the ship. So strap in, bitches. Titanic, Olympic, another Mauritania. Bus.
Not the Mauritania.
Bus. Club. Titanic.
Another club. Titanic. Yeah, so one thing we wanted to talk about was we're not historians, but we're trying to be historians.
Yes.
So we're trying our best, but if we say things that are wrong,
Who cares?
Who cares?
You know what I mean? Like the ship is sunk. There's nothing we can do. We can't bring it back.
And
also,
point.
like, we have other things going on in our lives.
Yes, other than just thinking about the Titanic. Even
And
though,
we spent a lot of time on this, though.
Yeah, it actually is embarrassing how much time I spent thinking about the Titanic.
Yeah,
I'll meet up with friends and they'll be like, what have you been doing? I'm like, I've been reading a lot about the Titanic.
Yeah.
They're like, anything else?
It's like, I was reading about people talking about the mummy's curse on the Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
But I do like to say that, like, I'm going to try to not say because I know I will be vilified online, and that's fine. I am not detail oriented. We put a lot of time and effort into this, and I tried to cross-reference and make sure that what I'm saying is good. Too. Yeah. But I'm going to misspeak for sure.
Yes.
I'm going to mispronounce something. Facts are going to get muddled, and that's part of it. We can issue retractions, but if you're here to talk about rivets, we'll talk about it a little bit, but we might be wrong about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not even like 100% sure what a rivet is.
To me, it looks like imagine a cartoon clock.
Yes.
And there's some kind of gear.
Oh, yeah.
That's
like
what I think a rivet is.
Okay, I know what a rivet is.
I don't know if that's true.
I know what a rivet is.
But
Huge
that's
win.
basically what we're trying to do here is true crime the Titanic.
Yes.
And go step by step through the story of the Titanic, breaking it down and trying to uncover the truth of what happened that night.
Yes. And ultimately just have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun, make friends.
Yes.
Amazing.
I have nothing else to say on that. What do
really
you talk about your Titanic feelings, history, story?
Just in total.
Also say your name.
General. Oh yeah, sorry. My name is Blair. Hi. I was a big Titanic kid. Like knew everything, knew way more facts than I know now. Like I wish kid me could host this.
She'd be so mad listening.
Be so mad.
Yeah,
no,
she'd be like, that's not what a rivet is.
No, she has no clue. I wrote a speech on the Titanic for like my 5th grade speech competition, and I made it to the gym, which is like
yes, I know exactly what you mean.
You know what I mean? Where like you do it in your class.
I never made it to the gym. I never made it
to the gym. I made it to the gym. I shouldn't have. I had no confidence. I think I was reading.
But the story of the Titanic, it transports.
It transported. I think someone actually had a 9/11 speech that same year. So we were going neck and neck, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, made it to the gym. Knew that. I've watched the Titanic movie easily over 100 times. But I had the 2 VHS version growing up. So I just watched the second VHS where the ship sank.
Well, that's when the action happens.
It's the
first half is just kind of the romance and the lead up.
But
really, you don't want to see the narrative of this movie. You want to see the ship
I want to see the ship sink and break in half.
Yeah.
And then that leads you down a pipeline of figuring out, like factually what is wrong. Then, watching Ghost of the Abyss, the other James Cameron one where he dives down, talks more about the ship. It's just a supplementary Titanic movie. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's good.
I love ships.
Yeah.
I'm a ship girl. What about you, Carley? What's your name?
My name is Carley. Hi.
Your history with the Titanic.
I was definitely not into it as much as you. I was into history. I think every kid has different history obsessions.
But you were a history kid.
I definitely was. I was really obsessed though with the 60s. That was big for me. I also the Salem witch trials were really big for me. Stuff like that. When I had to do that speech competition, I did it on the Stanford prison experiment.
Insane.
Yeah.
In the 5th grade?
7th grade.
Okay.
And I gave myself nightmares. True nightmares. But so I watched the Titanic movie, the James Cameron one, for the first time this year. I had never seen it. And it was on Netflix, and I watched it with my sister. And it's, obviously I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's so good that afterwards I fell down a rabbit hole for months and got on the Titanic subreddit, learned all the facts, was watching docs. I recently have learned, but I was not a Titanic kid.
You know what? I kind of envy you though, because as a Titanic kid, you're not taken seriously. And then I feel like as an adult, it's just sort of oh yeah, now it's cool to know about the Titanic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would love to watch the Titanic first as an adult, because as a kid, there's so much stuff that you just don't get.
I watched it because I was on a comedy show in Toronto that you were on later, the Titanic. It was an improvised Titanic, the movie.
Improvised Titanic,
And
yes.
I was like, I've never seen the movie, so I have to watch it.
Yeah.
And watching it as an adult is horrifying because you understand the weight of human life. I know I said earlier that I don't care if a man in a monocle dies, but when you watch that movie, it's so sad.
It really is.
And I was like, how am I going to do any comedy about this? Because it's just people falling into the ocean and dying, and it's very senseless. I think that like you kind of forget that people died, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, because you kind of remove from it a bit when you're thinking about it, like in all these pop culture terms.
But then it's like when it's a character actor dying, suddenly I care.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. Like my I took my friend to see because Titanic was in theaters earlier this year.
Oh, that's cool.
And I really wanted to go see it because it was like in a larger, like there were parts of the movie that you couldn't see before, and they had it like in the movie theater.
Oh,
like
cool.
The sides were cut off.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They widescreened it.
It's like shit that nerds like me and Rob care about, you know, like Rob, our producer,
Yes.
care about when the screen's slightly wider, you can see slightly more. And I took my friend Sam to it, and we like at the end, I was just like, "What'd you think?" And she was like, "That was horrifying."
I know. I felt
was like,
sick after I watched it.
Like I would never consider like it kind of is a horror movie.
It's really well done, but it is like, do you remember that movie that came out? And I'm not going to figure out the name, but it came out like 10 years ago, I want to say. And it was about a family who got swept away by a tsunami and had to find each other again. It's like that, really. It's like a disaster
terrifying.
movie before anything else.
It is a disaster movie.
But it's great. Like it really, I felt that it was really effective because it made me really care about a thing I didn't.
Yeah.
I used to think the Titanic was kind of like funny. Like I used to do a lot of like my favorite thing to do in an improv scene for a really long time was like be on a ship and then reveal that we were on the Titanic like 10 minutes into the scene. But like not that we were dying, just being like, oh, it's another day on the Titanic. I also do love to just reveal that it's September 10th, 2001.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
But then afterwards I'm like, I just don't think that's funny. I just don't think it's
Actually,
funny.
people died. People actually died. Shipwrecks, like, in general, are so just, like, deeply, deeply sad to me. Like, Titanic for sure, but
You could not pay me to get on a cruise.
Oh, my God. People that go on cruises, I'm like, you're asking for it.
No.
I hate
Also,
to
there's
say
more
it.
sex trafficking per capita. There's more sex
cruises.
trafficking per capita on cruises than anywhere in the world.
I believe it because cruises are evil. They're inherently evil.
It's evil.
I had a bunch of friends stuck on cruises, like,
In
when the
pandemic.
pandemic hit.
I had friends doing that too, and they're like, I was doing short form improv at sea, and now I can't get home to my family in the pandemic.
Yeah, it was terrifying. I knew this one girl who was like, she's still a friend of mine. Sorry about that. So she listens to this. It's so fucking rude of me to say, but no, she was like a host. Like she was like she would run the games and stuff, and she got stuck. And then I knew another girl who was doing like tech, and they were both stuck on different ships. Like they were docked, but they couldn't get off the
you can't get
ships.
off. It's like the band that went down with the Titanic.
It was
You're just there to
like,
do. You're just there to do art, and all of a sudden you're punished.
no, truly.
Okay, should we talk about? So we're gonna every single week here on the Truthtanic, either myself or Blair are gonna lead each other through a different Titanic theme.
Yes,
breaking
much
it down.
like speech competitions, but
Exactly,
better.
and we're gonna get to the fucking gym, bitch.
Yeah,
okay.
We're going to the gym. This is the gym.
This is the gym. Okay,
This is regionals.
So lock in. Yeah. Well, this is sectionals.
This is actually, I thought this was section. Fuck.
And our set list has been stolen by vocal adrenaline. Sue leaked
adrenaline.
it. Sue leaked it.
Yes. It's a Glee podcast.
Yeah, this is a Glee podcast. No, I was going to talk about Glee. We simply don't have the time. Every single week, we're going to lead each other through a different facet of Titanic history. We're going chronologically, basically. So it'll be like the ship facts, the passengers, the night of the sinking, things of that nature. We're going to have guests, some comedians and friends that we know on.
Yeah.
We're going to, the goal of this podcast is to present the facts as they are and then use our rich internal worlds, fabulous imagination, and I will say it, razor sharp problem solving ability to not only make this tragedy about us, but also to figure out what really happened.
Yes. So we're starting off, obviously, the first topic is episode 1, the ship. I want to precursor.
The main girl.
The main girl, the big girl, the girl of our dreams.
You know her, you love her.
The Titanic. the Titanic, the ship, the beast, the vessel.
Yes.
The steam ship that is the Titanic. I just want to precursor this before we get into it.
Yes.
There is so much on this goddamn ship. So much information you would not believe. So I've tried my best to condense things.
Into like what is interesting to people who don't have an insane hyperfixation on the minutia.
Yes, exactly. So like we're going to go over basically like how she came to be, what she's doing,
her story,
why, all this stuff, her story.
So if we skip over your favorite fact, you feel free to let us know and tell us your favorite Titanic factoids, but it's not to offend. And here's the thing, people who aren't familiar with the Titanic are going to be like, why are you doing so much so you don't get attacked? If you're in the Titanic subreddit, it's vicious. It's vicious.
And I respect it because I respect if you're on the Titanic subreddit,
you are braver than the Marines.
Yeah. But people being mean to me is really scary.
I hate it.
So
you would think somebody with this thin skin would have picked any other career.
No, if someone's mean to me, I'll cry and that's it. You know?
And I don't want to be, the thing is like this, they are right. Like they know a lot. Yeah. So that's why we're saying this. So if we skip over one of your favorite facts, let us know, but it's not to offend.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
This is a podcast for novices and fucking weirdo nerd virgins alike.
Yeah, exactly. Also to just have fun with us.
Imagine a drink.
You're at our house, we're having some wine, we're drinking, and we're talking about our favorite girl of all time, the Titanic, who was built in Belfast, Ireland.
Yes, and
she's an Irish ship.
She's Irish.
She's an Irish ship. So yeah, the Titanic, getting right into it, built in Ireland. They conceived of this like between like 1906 1907
great year.
Was conceived.
Only year. 1900s babies know.
Yeah. So basically they conceive of these three ships. It's going to be the Titanic, the Britannic, and the Olympic.
The Spice Girls of their time.
The Spice Girls of their time.
Yeah, the Titanic is Posh Spice. She's the most famous.
Yes.
Then the Olympic is...
The Olympic? Okay, so... I want to get into the Olympic because I'm actually kind of low-key moving from like a Titanic obsession to an Olympic obsession.
Because you're not like other girls.
So I'm not like other girls. I'm like
You're actually much different.
I'm actually so different.
Right, but I actually think that the Olympic is a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, I just like to pop open a beer with the boys. Because girls are too much drama.
Yeah, exactly. But the Olympics just like so chill. But so the Olympic actually,
I was researching her a bit because I was doing research for the conspiracy theory episode, of course, and she comes back in full force.
Yeah. Oh, she'll
be Scary Spice because the conspiracy theory episode is kind of like the X factor for Scary Spice. She's back in the zeitgeist in a way that we never thought she would be ever again.
Absolutely. And I do think that like the crazy thing is that like all three of these ships have such like interesting ends because the Titanic, you know, like the reason that the Titanic is such a legend is that she, like, it was such an like out of this world kind of disaster that happened to her. Like when I was researching this, I realized that like it was so unfathomable that what happened to her.
Yeah, but we were talking about this a bit. Like the Titanic really, I think it still kind of scares me. Because it's like the hubris of man of like, of course, when you think about it with hindsight, it's like, of course this is going to happen. It's a bunch of ships going through the glaciers at top speed. Like it should be fathomable, but we just love our technology.
We do.
You know?
And it's also like,
it's exactly like one of my other favorite historical things, the Challenger.
Oh, true. The Challenger. But it's true. It's
That'll
like
be season 2.
Yeah, season 2, the Challenger. But no, it's actually crazy because like I have like, so we can jump right to like, I have this later, but we might as well jump to it now, which is that like this whole like unsinkable ship thing. This is I was reading about this and I thought this was really, really interesting because like White Star Line, the creator of the Titanic, they were building all these like giant steamships. And like the idea of the Titanic being like unsinkable was like White Star Line was like, yeah, it's like unsinkable, but it wasn't like, oh, it's like the unsinkable ship. It was that like these boats had so many precautions against sinking that it was like crazy to think that they could sink because they'd thought through so many different scenarios where the ship could get damaged and survive.
Wow.
Which is crazy to me because, and then like after.
Because when we think about the story, oftentimes Ismay and White Star Line, like, they get a bad rap, and it really does seem like people are like, you idiot, you didn't make it, like you didn't make it strong enough. But they tried.
They really tried, and like,
and they get a gold star for trying.
They get a gold star for trying. But there's so many things about it, and we'll talk more about it in like the episode of the act, because we're doing obviously an episode on the night of the sinking.
What would this be?
What would this be if we didn't? But it's like actually, like afterwards, when the Titanic was like kind of becoming more of like a legend, and like it was being reported on in newspapers and stuff like that, that's when this whole narrative of like it was the unsinkable ship kind of thing became more of like the tagline than beforehand. Because like the Titanic basically, like, it had enough lifeboats. It actually had more lifeboats than was actually regulated. It actually had, they only had to have 16 and they had 20.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's like finding out your plane is going down and they're like, well, we have 7 parachutes.
Yeah. But the thing that's crazy is that they never meant the lifeboats to actually take you to shore. They assumed that another ship would come.
Yeah.
And then because like the Titanic was unsinkable, the Titanic would sort of bob there with a giant gash in its side, while everyone got off and the lifeboats went back and forth between the two ships. But because the Titanic just sort of plunged, because it filled up like 5 compartments right away, because they had these watertight compartments, right?
And the water got in there real quick.
Got into all of them real quick. So anyway, we're jumping ahead, but you know what? It's fun. It's fine.
Yeah,
this is how we go.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It doesn't seem like you're jumping ahead.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Because I didn't explain the watertight compartments, and I was like, oh my god, they're not going to know about the watertight
It's in the name. There was 5 watertight compartments. The water's not supposed to get in there, and I'm assuming it's watertight, so it's filled with air, so it bobs, so it doesn't fill with air, so it stays afloat.
Exactly. So
but then when it fills, it's like your lungs. Like your lungs should keep you afloat even if you fall. But then once you start sucking in that water, you're going down.
It was such a freak accident.
Shorty got low.
Shorty got low. It was crazy. And Uranus was retrograde in Pisces, just saying. But for my astrology girls out there,
a witch sunk the Titanic.
That's my conspiracy theory. It's astrology. Basically, there's a lot of like bumbo jargon. I'm not going to get into the background of like why these ships were being built, but basically, like, the other thing about these ships at the time, which I also was fascinated with, is that the difference between like the Titanic and other ships of its kind, and
she's not like other ships.
Cruises, she's not like other ships. Well, she's not like ships from today, like a 2023 cruise line, you know, like a Disney cruise. They don't matter, but these ships,
they don't matter.
Disney cruises do not fucking matter. Don't talk to me. Right, she's up swearing. But
I think you can swear.
I think I can, like a little bit as a treat. But like truly, these ships were so vital to the economy.
Oh yeah.
Which is such a like stark difference. Like these people weren't taking the ship just for fun. Like they were like traveling, they were doing business. Like people were immigrating.
Yeah.
They were immigrating like to America on these giant steamships. They were like, this thing was delivering mail, was a huge part of it, was getting the mail across the ocean.
That would suck. Obviously, losing your life on the Titanic would suck too. Yeah. But it would also suck if your package got lost.
Exactly. It would suck if your bag got
Mail
lost.
just must have never worked in the past.
No. It's actually crazy to me that they had a mail system in the past.
Mm-hmm. Like I've always held near and dear to my heart that mail person is one of the hottest jobs.
It is. Mail person, firefighter.
No, if I have rarely seen a mail person, and I'll say person, I'll say I'm brave, person. But like in my neighborhood where I've not been like, hi, because there's a woman with a shaved head. She's bleached her hair blonde and she shaved her head. That's my mail person. And then on the next street over, it's this like very tan guy.
Oh, incredible.
Anyways, the Titanic. It was important to the economy. Well, would that be like when the pandemic happened and like the planes weren't grounded, and it's like this massive infrastructure? Because outside of even like we need workers to immigrate and we need mail and whatever, also just tourism period is a massive thing.
Yeah. And it was like, especially at that time, like we can talk like truly like the Titanic happened in the middle of like this gilded age and this like second industrial revolution. So it's like so much more is happening around this time. And this is right before either of the wars. So you're kind of like...
Life was good.
Life was good. Everything was perfect in 1912 other than the Titanic.
And that's why it was so scary.
The only bad thing that happened in 1912.
Yeah.
But truly, like, it was so so much more vital
like the
than I think we can
opulence as
actually
well.
like.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you think about, like, everyone talks about, like, how globalized we were today. I feel like back then there was this true, like, thoroughfare between, like, America and the UK and Europe that, like,
Definitely.
is so... It's, like, the whole reason there was a transatlantic accent.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I didn't even think
so
about
much
that.
business was being done between, like, the UK and America.
What I wouldn't kill to have a transatlantic accent right now, though.
Oh my god, do you remember the Womblands girl though? She had a translate. Did you ever see
No.
this on TikTok? I can't even get into it. The Womblands girl. She was like, she accused this TikToker Modern Warrior of like getting her pregnant, and then
You're making me
she
feel
made this like.
I'm younger than you, and I feel a million years old right now.
I hate that I'm bringing this up, but it was terrible. She was like, "Oh," and then she made this. She was like, "Yeah, you're going into my. You knew it. I could feel it in my womb, Lance." And she had this like fake transatlantic accent. It was terrible, and she said womb lands, but it sounded like womb lands. There's so much. I can't even. I'm actually going back to the Titanic.
I can do a Marilyn Monroe impression.
Okay, can you do it?
Thank you ever so.
That's really good.
It's not bad. That's an impression of Ivy Lynn, who is Megan Hilty on the NBC show Smash, doing Marilyn Monroe. And I find it, and I'm bringing up Smash, but I find it a lot easier to do an impression of an impression.
Yeah, you know, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do any, I probably could do impressions, but I don't have one that's like out the gate.
That was barely good.
No, that was pretty good.
But it makes sense, like, because I read, because I'm better than everyone else. And a lot of those, like, obviously it's a little bit later, but even in the 20s, it's like an author would get big in New York or whatever, and then all of a sudden they would spend the majority of their time in, like, the south of France.
Yeah.
Like, just like getting on a ship.
Yeah.
And it's so funny now because, like, it's very weird to travel across ocean on ship, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
That feels like, it feels niche.
It's, yeah, and it's also kind of, like, crazy. Like, it's like, why would you pick that?
It's wild to do that. I know it's better for the environment.
Yeah, it's also fun. Like, I love that. I would do that.
I would never. I think
I would do it if it was on a cruise. I do it on a pirate ship, not on a cruise, though.
The only saving grace of a plane to me, even though I'm terrified of a plane, is like it will land like sooner than I'm just on a boat for a week.
Yeah, the boat, you never know really where it's going. So, the White Star Line, creators of the Titanic, at the time that the ships were being built. So, the White Star Line had one main German rival, and they also had this rival called Cunard. And the Cunard, I don't know how to say it. But they launched the Lusitania and the Mauretania.
And was the Mauretania, she got shot down?
I think it was the Lusitania.
Okay, one of them got shot down.
And then the Mauretania was the one that at the beginning of the Titanic, Rose goes, "Oh, I don't understand what the fuss is about. She doesn't look any bigger than the Mauretania." That's what she says. That's how she talks, kind of. It's my Rose impression.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Because Lusitania, she got like not harpooned, but I feel like a missile went into her.
That was when the Germans sunk that the Americans did.
It started some kind of treaty, and I did write this down on a test at some point, but it's out of my brain.
The Americans joined World War I once they sunk the Lusitania, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and then they claimed like all this stuff for winning it. Even though
when we know Canadians did that.
Canadians, if you want to read something fucked up, read stories of the Canadians in World War I. It is horrifying. They're just like, they're inventing war crimes. They're not even committing war crimes. They're inventing new war crimes. It's insane. They would just kill people all the time. Like they would go in with like 100 men and kill like 50,000 people.
This is World War
like
I
in
the
middle of the night in World War I. Literally horrifying. I can't even. No,
it's insane.
No, the Canadians in World War I, don't even get me started.
Well,
it's actually terrible.
There's a certain hardiness.
Yeah,
they're like, oh yeah, they're like, oh sorry.
There's this
oh, we're ootin' a boot.
There's this one story, I need to find his name, but there's this one story, this one Canadian guy and he was like an Indigenous Canadian. He went out to like fight in World War I, and in the middle of the night, one night, he just goes out and kills like 500 people in a German camp while they're sleeping. And just goes back and is like, okay, we're all good now, like back to his troop.
How?
I have no fucking... They were literally, Carley, inventing war crimes.
Well, you know what? Be so good they can't ignore you.
Yeah, that's so true. Then they were ignored. Actually, pretty hardcore. Canada's still ignored.
Yeah.
So, back to the Cunard line, or the Cunard, I should have looked up how to say this.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter. They were building ships that were super, super, super fast. And White Star Line was like, we see your fast ships. We raise you
Unsinkable.
really, really big ships.
Okay.
Yeah, they were like, we're going to make our ships so big.
That if they sink, there's too many people.
Yeah,
on
exactly. There's too many people. And they're going to be comfortable. They're going to be luxurious. They're going to have all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Even though, from a lot of accounts, the Mauritania was actually a lot more luxurious than the Titanic.
Well, smaller things often are. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
You said it so genuinely. It was more delicate. And it's also like the Titanic is kind of insane too, because like if it had not sunk when it did, we wouldn't remember it. Like it would be such like a
I always think
footnote,
about that, yeah.
because the Britannic was built to be the massive one. And then there was another, the Germans had built another steamship that was going to be the biggest steamship in the world that launched in May, and the Titanic sunk in April. So the Titanic had basically less than a month of being the biggest ship in the world.
Yeah.
And then it was going to get trumped by both this German ship and her sister ship that she was built alongside us.
Yeah, but well-behaved women rarely ever make history.
Yeah, so she had to
Went down.
be a little sassy and sink. So there were a lot of things about the Titanic that just like weren't, like they were coming out almost like a little bit like unfinished.
Yeah, because they wanted to get her out so she could be the biggest ship for a bit.
Yeah, and also I think they just like, they were retiring these other ships that were doing like the route that she was doing. So they were just like, we kind of need to just like get these other ships on the road kind of thing. Yeah, the Olympic ended up working for 24 years and it went into the army and became like a hospital ship.
Wow.
And then it was scrapped in the 30s, I believe. And the Britannic got hit by a torpedo, I believe.
Well, okay, you know how they say like in a long-term relationship, you either break up or you get married? Like there's two options.
Yeah.
With a ship, you either get scrapped for parts
or you sink. It's true.
There's one or two things it does.
Yeah, the Britannic hit a mine in World War I and it sank.
I don't know why that was so funny.
It's true. It hit a mine.
It's not funny. It's a tragedy.
It's a tragedy.
But like old-timey things, like I just
It's like you hit a mine.
No, exactly. I didn't expect to hear the words the Britannic hit a mine on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, no one talks about ships hitting mines anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like
sad.
It's actually sad. Everyone's too busy on their fucking phones to talk about how ships used to sink. Look up from your screen and talk about how the Britannic hit a mine. Okay?
I don't care about shipwrecks anymore. You care about is TikTok and Netflix.
It's disgusting.
It's actually fucking fucked up. Anyway.
Yeah.
So it hit a mine in World War I. And it sank before it ever went into passenger service. Isn't that sad? Oh, shut up! It's sad. I'm actually sad. Oh my god. Okay, whatever. I don't even care.
We're in a fight now.
They almost called the Britannic gigantic, which I also think is really funny.
And every time it would cross the Atlantic, it would go, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Somebody's playing a slide whistle. Woo, woo.
Bah, 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 bah. Yes. Slay.
I wrote a sketch about this, and we can cut this out because nobody wants to hear any sentence that starts with "I wrote a sketch about this."
I want to hear it.
But it was because it was based off. I love the movie "Some Like It Hot" with Marilyn Monroe. I'm talking about Marilyn Monroe a lot right now. But when any other woman walks in that movie, it's just normal music, and whenever she walks, it's a trumpet going like wow 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 wow. And I was like, if I was in a movie with somebody and it was normal ass fucking music for me, and every time she went on screen, it's like sexy trumpet, I'd be so mad.
Can you imagine being hired as like the sexy trumpet player?
Yeah, just can you make? Sorry, the trumpet. It sounds good. Yeah. Can you make it wetter? Yeah. And like just like hornier.
Could you make it hornier? Could you make the trumpet horny? Could you make
I can't explain. Yeah, I just want it to kind of like it needs to like wail in a way that suggests
like that the trumpet's having sex.
The trumpet is balls deep.
We want to picture this tuba fucking.
More.
Okay, Carly, I have another topic that I know we need to talk about, which is that how many potatoes were on the Titanic.
Better help. How many potatoes were on the Titanic? Yes.
How many potatoes? 40 tons.
Oh my god.
By some accounts. And I mean, this is the thing. Whenever they're like, oh, there's so many tons, I'm like, what is a ton? I couldn't identify.
I couldn't tell you. That's like
what is that? A truck?
Did you ever like read kind of like a report, an old report, and they're like, it's from like Britain, and they're like, he was 10 stone. I'm like, what does that mean?
I just picture like an Inukshuk. I'm like, So, like, how tall of an Inukshuk are you?
Is that little thing that's a stone that looks like a man?
Okay. So an Inukshuk.
Cool, I didn't know what a name.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay.
So 40 tons of potatoes.
There's 40
There's a
tons
potato
of potato.
room. Someone on Reddit was saying there were multiple potato rooms, like one for first class and then another one for third class, because they can't have the same potatoes. I don't know whether or not that's true, but if you see on the map,
it's just funny to say, like, I don't know whether or not that's true, because like none of us were there. Like,
yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
Like, I'm like, who's gonna verify how many
which
rooms of potatoes
ghost is
there
gonna
were?
call in?
I know. Wouldn't that be awesome? I wish we were like 30 years in the future so we could call a ghost in as a guest.
And in 30 years in the future, we're gonna be able to
You're
call
gonna be able to call ghosts
on the phone.
I think so.
Because you put you did a hand signal of a phone up to your ear.
Yeah, like, hey, who would you call? I'd call the unsinkable Molly Brown.
I'd call Hitler, and
no, it was on the Titanic.
Oh.
Just call up Hitler to talk
I'd call up
about the
Hitler,
Titanic.
and I'd call up Hitler, and I'd go, this is the rejected hotline. Did you remember that?
No.
Okay, never mind. I seem insane. There was a thing where if somebody gave you asked for your number and you gave them this number, it goes, this is the rejected hotline. It means you really are not wanted. So I guess I would be the rejected hotline, and I'd call up Hitler.
Just call up all the like fascist leaders of history.
Yeah, be like, hey Mussolini, kick rocks.
Sick.
I think I would call up the unsinkable Molly Brown as well. I was doing some research on her for this, and she's awesome.
Yeah, she's cool.
She's just a queen.
She's cool as hell. It
is kind of a sad fact of history that anytime any woman did anything, it was because she came from an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise you just couldn't really, you didn't get to do anything. But you couldn't, like, be single. No. But she was like, well, I have the most family money. I'm just going to travel around and fund museums and stuff.
Yeah. That's kind of what I want to do now.
I would love that.
If I had a bunch of random money, I just
well, wait, this is what I don't get about Nepo babies, okay?
They do the wrong things.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I was a Nepo baby, I would not be trying to work.
That's the thing.
I would just be loosely famous, so tangentially, and on a beach forever.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
why are you in Euphoria?
I'm so much more like into when like Nepo babies are just like, yeah, I'm rich. Like that girl who's like interning for Dior. I'm like, sure, whatever. You know, do it, whatever. What a fake job, you know? Yeah. Like I'm sure that someone more deserving should have that position, but like, you know what I mean? Like don't pretend not to be rich. Like just do a rich person thing.
Serve on a board.
Yeah, serve on a board. Donate to a museum, like curate a freaking, like, you know what I mean? Do something stupid. Piss me off.
I agree.
So how many rooms were there for potatoes? I don't know, but there were also potato washing rooms where they wash the potatoes.
And these potatoes on the Titanic, these aren't like transporting them to America. This is just to feed the population.
Because she's an Irish ship, you must remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess like everyone on the Titanic was eating multiple potatoes a day. And then the first class people were eating fancy potatoes, and then the third class people were eating like a yam. And actually, no, I think somewhere I read, I don't know, this is unverified, but I feel like it was like fingerling potatoes. I don't know, you know, but it was
even, you know, when you're looking at a potato in the grocery store, you know which one is busted and which one isn't.
Yeah,
there's a couple potatoes on the bottom of the pile that are covered in dirt still.
Yeah.
Run it under a hose before you put it in the grocery store.
I know. I always think that's weird. I'm like, what's the point? Why I should have just gone to a field.
I could dig for this.
I could have dug for this.
Yeah.
If I was going to get this dirty at the grocery store, I might as well have just gone to the field.
Yeah. What other amenities? It feels weird to say like what condo fees, but you know what I mean? What else was there in the interior of the ship?
There were a lot of amenities on the Titanic. Like
a pool with a water slide.
And even like something that I was reading about, it did
ignored
have a pool.
me, talked over me.
It did have a pool. They did not have a water slide.
It would be awesome if it had they had at the Nickelodeon hotel the big bucket that fills with water, and everyone on the Titanic. That's why it sunk, because the bucket kept filling the fuck up, and it got into the airtight compartments.
I think that if they had a big Nickelodeon dump bucket, it would have saved the Titanic.
Just get in the bucket.
Yeah, and then it would.
And the one in Nickelodeon would dye the water green, so it was like slime.
Incredible! I cannot believe that was legal.
Oh, it's not. I feel like that gave 900 kids at least like lead poisoning.
Oh, easily.
No, that's like when I think back to like the colors snacks used to be when I was a kid.
Oh, I know. When they started taking blue out of things, I was so mad, and then I was like, wait,
Why are they taking
out
blue?
the blue?
The best one.
Yeah, that was my favorite flavor. And now I can't see green.
Yeah.
Just kidding, I can. So the Titanic, amenities, crazy. Some of them sound really boring to us, but like the fact that cabins had bathrooms attached to the cabins was crazy.
Definitely.
So cool. Can you
Indoor
imagine?
plumbing is already kind of a sleigh at the time.
Indoor plumbing on a ship, plus a swimming pool, which the swimming pool, honestly, there's a couple of pictures. It looks terrifying. It's like unfinished. Like it's kind of like... It's just kind of like stuck in the boat, and the walls are like paneled with like, I'm already like a little bit freaked out by indoor in-ground swimming pools. It's one of my only fears.
I have a fear of indoor in-ground swimming pools.
Dude, actually, because they freak me out. If it's filled with water, it's okay.
No,
if
but
it's
as soon as I
No.
enter an indoor swimming pool and I smell that chlorine smell,
it's scary.
fight or flight.
It's scary. I can do it if it's like I can do it in some environments.
Is there a hot tub?
But other times probably not. I can't imagine there was a
It's a
hot tub.
jacuzzi?
Is there a jacuzzi? But no, there was another ship that came out right after the Titanic that had this like gorgeous swimming pool, and I was looking it up, and it was like 2 floors.
Whoa.
No, I thought it was a 2-floor swimming pool, but it was just like a promenade deck or whatever.
But still crazy.
Still really fun. The Titanic swimming pool was just like a sad little rectangle. Like it was kind of like just scary looking.
It's giving Radisson.
It's giving like the men are going for laps.
Yes.
And
yes.
to fondle each other.
And if you are in the pool and you're going slow in the fast lane, you're about to get passed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like honestly, I don't even know this pool. You can look at pictures of it. It's freaky. I don't like the pool, but there was a pool. The one thing that was crazy with the Turkish baths,
Okay.
which is like I guess that would have been their sauna. So,
What is a Turkish bath?
It's like a sauna basically.
It's
like
hot.
it's like a hot like a relaxation zone. But they were like beautifully tiled and stuff, and it's
wow.
actually one of the like it's really well preserved on the wreck.
Weird.
And you can find because there aren't really photos. I think there's like one photo of the Turkish baths, but like at the time that the Titanic was sailing, photography was still like pretty like new.
Yeah, they were just like they were graduating from the guy under the black sheet.
Yeah, exactly. Like
and the light bulb that
yes.
explodes.
You
yeah.
had portable
the
cameras,
camera
but they
obscura.
weren't not very, yeah, the camera truly.
Yeah.
It was like still pretty new, so you needed like a ton of light.
Yeah, I've only seen a couple of photos from the exterior of the Titanic.
Yeah.
Because like people brought their handheld cameras or whatever to take a picture of the exterior,
Yeah.
but they didn't go on the ship.
Yeah.
Also, if you have your handheld camera and you're not living,
Mhm.
that's going to the bottom of the ocean.
It's true.
And film is fickle. That's
Yeah.
not going to survive.
And it also was like very like it was such a rich person's hobby.
Yeah. It's still
Well, yeah, if you
Kind
think
of,
about how much
yeah.
film costs now, like
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of gone up because it's gotten like, you know, rarer or whatever, but
and
like
it's also like it's a true hobby, you know? Like it's a
Yeah.
true luxury.
yeah. And back then it was like even more like you had to just have like so much expendable income to do this
Mhm.
stuff. So the Turkish baths, people love those, and they're gorgeous. There was also like squash courts. They had a bunch
wow.
of restaurants. So they had like a French restaurant and an Italian restaurant.
Mamma mia.
And they had a French cafe and a gym. And the French cafe, I'm pretty sure, is that guy who the French
The chef.
baker, the chef.
Oh, I
who-
love him.
Yeah,
We're going to
who-
get into him.
We'll
He's
get
a
into
king.
him. He's an absolute hero.
Legend.
Titanic legend. So yeah, there was basically just like a ton of stuff.
It sounds fun.
To do.
It's like a cruise ship.
My favorite amenity though, and I didn't even conceptualize this, but what's crazy is that the Titanic and the White Star Line ships of this class did not vibrate or shake nearly as much as the other ships, which I didn't even consider.
What do you mean?
So like the other ships would like
Yeah, what do you mean?
it sounds
What? Yeah.
crazy, but like these other ships would go like they were fast, and like because they were kind of like they just like didn't have the technology or something, they'd like vibrate, like they'd shake, they'd like jostle through the water and stuff like
You
that.
find a good angle.
Damn.
No, we're sitting.
She
yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, these ships would like jangle around and like shoot you around and vibrate
the
and stuff.
Titanic was
and the
not.
Titanic was known for being like a really smooth sail. Like you couldn't really
Until-
feel the water until it got hit. But I think that's why it was so shocking for people, because they were like, oh, like
This one's the safe one.
yeah, exactly. Or like they were so used to just being thrown around on ships.
Yeah.
That like yeah, so I didn't even consider that, but that was like a huge selling
I
point.
know
of the
there's so
Titanic.
many things that modern technology has just made it so that we never think about.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy to think about, because like can you imagine being on a ship for like a week and a half, and it's just throwing you around, like vibrating the whole time.
I know.
Like I don't think until I was researching this did I like actually conceptualize what seasickness actually must have been like.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even being seasick today is nothing compared to what it would have been like to be being like seasick on like a pirate ship.
Yeah,
you know
they
what
call
I mean?
it, they'd be like, these fucking snowflakes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
truly. Because it's like, oh, you're a little bit queasy. Like, try getting thrown around in your bed for endless hours, you know?
Yeah, and that's like, and they say, I have my sea legs.
Sea legs, yeah.
Because you're used to it, and then you can feel it rocking.
It's true. Do you have any other questions about the Titanic ship?
Do you know how long that the voyage was?
So, that's a good question. Maybe I should just look that up. So I know that they were meant to get in on Wednesday morning, and they were trying to get in by Tuesday night. That was their.
That was why they were going fast.
they were trying to zoom. Titanic.
Because I think that's really it. I mean, we've all seen pictures, and do yourself a favor and look up some of these pictures if you've only seen the film, because it's crazy.
There's a really cool YouTube channel called, I believe it's Titanic University. Like, they have a video showing like actual images of the Titanic and pointing out the ones that are actually of like the Olympic.
Oh, that's
that
cool.
were sold, because like the Olympic and the Titanic basically had like identical interiors.
So you could just pass it off.
Yeah, you could just pass it off. And
It's
they
like
never.
how I always wanted a twin growing up.
Yes,
so
exactly.
she could take my tests for me and something, and I could take her tests.
Yeah, truly.
But I'm happy I'm not a twin. Adult twins are fucking scary.
No, I've had so many bad run-ins with twins. Honestly, like I don't even.
Honestly, if you're a twin, I'm sending you love and light. But there's a darkness there.
It is. It's true.
It fucks you up.
It was supposed to sail for just under 6 days, and it sailed for 5. Or no, 4, because it sank in the middle of the night. Dang, that's
Wow.
sad. So it was supposed to be just under 6 days was the maiden voyage, and it lasted until from the 10th to the early morning of the 15th.
Wow.
That's sad. That's actually crazy. The sheets had never been washed. The china had never been used. I can still smell the fresh paint. Any other
I
questions?
can't even look at you in the fucking. I can't look at you in the eyes right now. I'm looking outside. I've got nothing to say to you.
But I could do old lady Rose impressions all day.
Yeah, I feel like I've learned so much about the ship.
Me too, honestly. It's really interesting also to just like really, because I feel like being a Titanic kid, you think of it just like as a thing on its own.
Yeah.
But then like when
The objects. But when we were talking about buildings and things holding like memories, like,
yeah,
because I remember
it's
reading
true.
that they were wondering like how many people were trapped in lower buildings, and they were like, the only way we could figure
Yeah.
that out is if we'd send like a drone down there and found shoes,
Yeah, that's crazy.
like in the ship wreck.
Once you contextualize it, it becomes truly like an event that kind of defined like what disasters would look like in the 20th century.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like the narrative of it, like, I mean, we're talking about it now, but people were obsessed with it. It's
And
horrifying.
It's such a reference point too in terms of
Do you
like,
think that there was like stories, like, you know how like everybody has like there's like a story, like
oh
the
yeah,
Seth
where were
MacFarlane of it?
you when the
Well,
Titanic
the
sank?
thing where Seth MacFarlane was like, you know, I was supposed to be in the Twin Towers at 9/11.
Yeah, or he was
But
supposed to be on a plane.
Yeah. Oh,
and
that's
he was
crazy.
hungover. That was his story.
He was supposed to be on one of the planes. Because I had a friend, her dad was like, you know, I was supposed to have a meeting right by the Twin Towers, but my train was late, so I wasn't there, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I bet people were like, you know, my grandpa, he was actually supposed to be on the Titanic,
Yeah.
but he was hungover.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't make it. Like, claiming proximity to the Titanic.
Yeah.
That's a good trauma to have.
No, it is true. It's
Okay.
true. I feel like everyone has like some sort of relation like story about the Titanic in some way.
In the
shape, or
olden
form.
days.
Yeah. Like all the Chateau Laurier in Ottawa, all the furniture for that was on the Titanic and it all sunk.
That sucks.
Which is a funny
and you can't even
Canadian
complain because
fact.
lives were lost.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I wanted my fancy couch from England. Shut up, Chateau Laurier.
Our producer Rob has just told us the Mark Wahlberg 9/11 story in which he was supposed to be on one of the planes, but he wasn't, and he said if I was on one of the planes, things would have gone a little differently.
That's me on the Titanic. I'm like, we would not have hit the iceberg.
I do think, and I know it was at night or whatever, but like, I know this would never happen. But in my brain, I feel like if I was there, I'd be like, Guys, anybody see that? Hello.
The way I actually have terrible eyesight, I would not have been able to see it.
Yeah,
It'd
I would be the
passing by
reason.
and I'd be like, no.
Yeah, if I was on the Titanic, I would have shot that fucking iceberg down.
I would have shot it with my
I would
gun.
have charged it like a man.
Yeah. I think I would have just kind of hung around on the Titanic. I don't think I would have been
It's a
of any
hot
help.
take. I think I would have just hung around.
I
Are you
would've
high?
yeah. No, you know what? I honestly think I would have been kind of annoying at the lifeboats.
Oh.
You know,
I mean, I have a comedy bit about this, but like
Yeah,
I would be,
yeah,
I would
that's
be at the
true.
front of that fucking line.
I feel like I would have, especially like depending. I feel like
I would
if
be
was on the-
weaponizing my white woman tears.
I would think I would be like kind of like doing like an annoying hero thing where I'd be trying to get like more people on the lifeboats.
We've got seats.
yeah, there'd be seats here, like. But depending on what stage of life I was in, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna add more complexity to this hypothetical by making you 95 years old.
Yeah.
Somebody should do a Dungeons and Dragons on the Titanic. I would play that
Dungeons and
so
Dragons.
fucking fast.
Oh my god, that's fun.
Okay, somebody do that.
That's actually fun.
You can have that. All right.
Okay.
Bonus episode.
Yes.
Bonus
Oh, that
episode.
would be fun.
We're just coming up with bonus episodes before we've done the
I
real
know. We've done one
episodes.
episode. Okay. It's time for a segment of this podcast.
The segment we're most excited for, which
Yes.
is called
Let's make this tragedy about us!
Woo, which is the part of the show where we make it about us.
Yeah. As if we haven't already made the whole thing about us.
Yeah, but now we're really making it about us, or you know, we're adding our own little zest.
Yes.
My question for you today
Yes.
is where would you go to hook up on the Titanic?
Ooh, okay, so obviously, I'm gonna add this caveat to this already.
Okay.
Because I think I'll be too hypothetical if not. Where would I go to hook up? I'm also a man.
Yes, okay. Hooking up with a woman or a man?
A man.
Oh, you're a gay man on the Titanic.
Yes.
Okay, love it.
Because love wins.
Love does win. And sailors are famously gay.
Famously gay.
Famously gay.
Yes. And we thank them for their service.
Thank you, gays.
Okay, so immediately I'm thinking, obviously the easy answer is the Turkish baths.
Yes,
'Cause
I
it's a
think so.
sauna.
It's
But
also coded. That's coded as
That's
hell.
no exact. It's like
the
that's
male
basic.
only Turkish baths.
We see you.
Please.
But I actually think it would be a lot of fun to hook up in the potato
I
room.
knew you were gonna say potato room.
Because you can put a potato in your ass. It's a fingerling potato.
okay
to stimulate your
Yeah,
prostate.
Yeah. The butt plug of Gilded Age.
Exactly. And you're dying anyway, so if it breaks
That's
off and makes you
true.
sick, either the
Yeah.
potato butt plug is going to get you or the Titanic crash is going to get you.
Yeah, you're so real for that.
Sorry. Where would you hook up on the Titanic?
Okay, so I think I do like the potato washroom a bit more than the potato room
Oh, yeah.
because then there's water.
You can use the shower head to stimulate her. Are you a gay man
Yeah.
on the Titanic as well?
I think I'm just a woman.
Not just.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey!
Yeah, I like the potato washroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly,
I think that those would be less crowded.
so. You know what I do? We didn't mention this, so I feel like I'm cheating a little bit.
That's okay.
But they had these really cool, like, indoor decks
Okay.
on the Titanic, and I think I'd want to go there. They were, like, basically, like, what are those rooms called? Not green
Yeah,
rooms.
like a green room. A sunroom?
Sunroom.
Okay.
They were like
I think that's the
sunrooms
white
on deck.
trash version of
Wow.
like an observatory.
Ouch.
I said sunroom too.
It's like these sunrooms, these, like, decks, like the promenade decks. That's where I'd hook up if I were straight. Because then who cares if
Yeah.
you're seen?
I mean, if I was a gay woman, I would just hook up in my room with my longtime female best friend.
Yeah, I think like a big like
my roommate.
yeah, my roommate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if I was gonna have lesbian sex on the Titanic, it's not like a sexual.
I'd have it in the lifeboat.
I'd have it in a lifeboat. That's an orgy waiting to happen.
Oh,
Except
exactly.
the kids are there.
No, the kids are in a
The
different
kids
boat.
have to be in a
The
different
kids are in a
boat,
different
and then
boat.
the women can have an orgy in the lifeboat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. It's not like a sex fantasy, but it is like I love the idea of doing like I feel like there's just not enough nightgown stuff happening. Like,
I agree.
No one wears nightgowns anymore.
When you can see like the nipples through the nightgown.
Honestly, like it doesn't even have to be nipple. I just think it's fun to wear nightgowns.
It is fun to wear a nightgown.
Any nightgowns, but nipples are fun too. But I do think that's fun. And I feel like you could just say like, we're having a sleepover, and then like in your like weird wooden bed that's nailed to the ground in your like first class stateroom.
Yes.
I'm the maid in this scenario.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Ooh,
and
I love
then
that.
I work for
Okay, I have a
I work for the
Titanic fantasy
lady.
as well now.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get on a lifeboat. Okay, and the guy with the gun, who's like a sailor, who's making sure that only women and children get on the lifeboats in case.
Okay.
He's like, "There's no room on this one," and I'm like, "Is there anything I can do to get on the lifeboat?" Like when there's a pizza and you're like, "Oh no, I forgot my credit card," or whatever, and he's like, "Well, there's one thing you can do." And then I suck his cock on the,
just right there,
right then and there, to the concerto that the band is playing, and then he lets me on the lifeboat.
Oh, I'd love to hook up with the band and or the wireless operators. I feel like hooking up with the wireless operator while he's like operating in the wireless operating room.
I like that.
That's hot.
Or the captain.
The
There's a
captain
power
in his
dynamic
captain
there.
quarters. Yeah, I mean, I think it's if I'm a woman in 1912, I think there's a power dynamic between me and everyone.
Not me. Not me. I'm normal.
I think that's a good.
That's a good place to
That's
end.
a good place to end. I think we made it about us. You know what,
Successfully.
Carly?
Yes.
All I have to say
Blair.
is that there's always thank you. There's always going to be more to say about the Titanic.
But we must bid you adieu.
We must bid you adieu. Going to come back to you next week with more material. Maybe even better, maybe longer, maybe shorter, maybe worse, maybe better.
There's no way to know.
Thank you for listening. Signing off. Ahoy and good boy.
Ahoy and good boy.